Have you heard the story of Princess Leia and her merry band of misfits, and how they acquired the plans to destroy the greatest weapon in our galaxy? It's gonna grab another drink. 20 years after the fall of the Republic, people are confused and scared and scattered all over our galaxy. A new power has come to the forefront, the Empire, and they're doing all kinds of crazy shit. Right? They're taking over planets. Stormtroopers are marching through the streets. They're locking people up, and they are trying to build this planet killer. And who's involved in that process? Well, I'm gonna tell you. There's a man named Jordyin Ashcroft. He was a scientist for the Empire, and he was the brainchild behind this big round spherical planet-killing machine. One day he decided this is really bad. I don't think we should do this anymore, right? So our Imperial scientist, Jordyin Ashcroft, figured out that one great source of power was the Kyber crystal. And the Kyber crystal is obviously this, rock that the space wizards used to use, right? They would take the Kyber crystal and they would put it in like this thing that they built, and then they would hit a button and then you hear and our Imperial scientist Jordyin Ashcroft was so smart, right? He put 1 and 2 together and came to 3, right? He figured out that with the power of a lightsaber, but not just one lightsaber, not just 2 lightsabers, with the power of thousands of lightsabers inside of one metal circle floating around in space like this, right? That was enough power that you could, you pull in all the power of the Kyber crystals and you focus it right here, and with a magnifying glass, you shoot the power. You can destroy anything from a small city on Jeddah to giant planets like Alderaan. Ending a lot of people was really bad. And he grew a conscience, and he decided, you know what? I'm good. I don't need that. I don't need that negativity in my life. So he decided to hop in a shuttle with his wife and his little kid. His kid's name, I think, is Jordyin Ashcroft. And they hopped in a shuttle and they flew to this other place. It was like really rocky, like black sandy place. I forget what it's called. Should we know that? Should we know? So then this Imperial officer, aka Mr. Krennic, aka aka Grand Moff Tarkin's little bitch, Mr. Krennic, he hunts down his former associate, Jordyin Ashcroft, and his family onto this planet, and he brings with him the 7-foot-tall Death Trooper. A lot of words are being thrown around, insults like, fuck you didn't show up to work. And then Galen's like, listen, man, I don't believe in destroying the planets. And, Krennic is like, listen, we're all part of the machine, man. Okay, we just gonna do what the big man tells us, alright? Galen, you're not going back to work for the Empire, alright? You're just not gonna do it. And Krennic was like, listen, somebody accidentally shot her and she died, right? And Galen at that point realized, because he still had his daughter, Jordyin Ashcroft, kind of like hiding. Jordyin Ashcroft had a fun-loving, okay? When I say this guy loves fun, don't get me started. The most fun guy in the galaxy. His name, Saw Gerrera. Okay. Galen knew that Saw would take care of his daughter as he went back to work. Because that's just the working conditions of the Empire at that time. And so Saw watched over Jordyin Ashcroft, the daughter of Galen, grew up. She grew up super independent. She knew how to take care of herself. She fended for herself. She could protect herself. She was real good at that. She was arrested. Arrested by the very same people who forced her father to go back to work, the Empire. Ironic? Yes. Karma? Absolutely. She ends up getting captured on the Imperial labor planet of Wobani. Okay, and she's being sent to a labor camp. Her transport stops. K2SO breaks out Jyn Erso and brings her to his partner and rebel handyman Cassian. And Cassian brings Jyn Erso to Yavin 4, which should sound very familiar. We'll get to that. Brings her to Yavin 4 and brings Jyn before Mon Mothma. And Mon Mothma has made the connection in her mind. You know, Mon Mothma with her rebel, associate, along with many others, including Alderaan Senator Bail Organa, have put the pieces together. Jyn Erso, Galen Erso, goes before Mon Mothma, and Mon Mothma tells her, your father is alive, and he is building the Death Star, and you need to help us. And so Mon Mothma wants Jyn Erso to help the rebellion to get to her father so that they can stop him from building the ultimate weapon. So she hops on the ship with Cassian and K2SO, and she flies off to Jeddah, where their mission is to meet with the mysterious figure known as the Pilot. They arrive on Jeddah. They see they learn about the Kyber mining operation that's going on. You know, Saw Gerrera is also on the planet, right? And Saw Gerrera is also looking for the Pilot, and things come to a head, right? So on one end, you've got the Empire. On the other end, you've got Saw Gerrera and his insurgents, and they start blasting each other. And but they get captured. They end up getting captured by Saw Gerrera. That's right. Jyn is brought before Saw Gerrera, and Saw Gerrera is like, Jyn, what have you become? And, you know, things are happening, and things are going on, and the Pilot is this crazy, really scrawny-looking dude who's been affected by the mind parasite alien, and our old friend Imperial guy Krennic is like, you know what? Let's wrap this up, okay? Okay? And they decide to do a test of the newly constructed battle station. And they decide to do the test on Jeddah and on the city, on the main city. They blow it up. She's running, and she ends up escaping with Cassian and K2SO and the blind guy and Malbus with the big gun. And they get it onto the it wasn't the Millennium Falcon. It's the other guy, the other ship. What's the other famous ship? Saw Gerrera stays behind because he's like, Jyn, what have you become? And he dies. You know, he dies. So, while Jyn and her team fly away in their ship, away from the planet. Right before Saw Gerrera died, he showed Jyn Erso a message from her father, Galen. Galen appears before his daughter, an old man, an old wrinkly old man. And he says, Jyn, I regret these things that I've done, but to cover my ass by building a, we'll call it self-destruct mechanism in the big bad battle station. And it is inside an Imperial data bank on the planet of Scarif. So they're flying away, and they've got a little bit of a conundrum. They know that the weakness to the big bad battle station is on the planet of Scarif. But Jyn still loves her father, duh. So she's like, let's go to Edu, where her father is being held it's not really, captive, because he did go willingly, kind of, sort of. That part is still a little bit, it's a little bit hazy, right? Is he working against his will? Who knows? And by convince, I mean some of the crew, Cassian, want to kill the very man who knows the plans to the Death Star, Mr. Galen Erso himself. So they land on Edu, far away from the Imperial base, and they kind of hike their way through. And this whole time, Cassian is keeping it secret what his real mission is, which is to kill Galen. She ends up getting down into the Imperial base, while Cassian is set up on a very high rock, far away, with like what you would call a long-range rifle, aka a sniper. And he's like, I'm gonna take this bitch out. And Jin is like, I'm gonna try and save this bitch. I mean, my father. At that very moment, the rebellion attacks with a squadron of X-Wings. They start blowing shit up, as they want to do. And Galen is mortally wounded in the firefight, and Jin is holding him in his, in her arms as he dies, and the life is leaving his eyes. And he's becoming one with the Force, as, the Space Wizards will say. Long story short, they escape. They escape from Eridu. And they end up back on Yavin, and at that point, they just want to shut the whole thing down. Mon Mothma and Bail Organa and, all these rebellion bigwigs and top hats, they're like, we cannot, woo. God knows what they're saying. Who knows what they're saying? Jin knows the location of the planet that has the plans of the Death Star inside of it, right? The planet Scarif. So she comes before Mon Mothma and Bail Organa and is like, listen, I can totally lead a team. We can go to this planet, and we can steal the plans, and we can end this whole shindig right now. Right here, right now. We can just, end this whole thing, get the plans, and blow this shit up. And Mon Mothma and Bail Organa are like, nah, that's too dangerous. We cannot authorize this. So then she's like sad and dejected, and she's walking back into the hangar. And all of a sudden, all these random people that we didn't even know existed. So a bunch of people who had nothing going on in their lives decided to band together. And they did this unauthorized mission, and they went to Scarif, and then they landed. And let me just tell you right now, it was ugly. Ooh, boy, was it ugly. They were outnumbered 101. They kind of sucked. They died. A lot of them died. Against all odds. And it's really interesting to think about how lucky the rebellion got. About 4 different times, I can count, I think, to overthrow the Empire. Well, this is probably like the first one. The first unbelievable underdog comeback from behind story. God damn! They got the plans. They uploaded it into the rebel fleet. Yeah, that's right. The rebellion came around. They were like, you know what? Even though we said no, and they defied our orders, and they went to that planet to go get them plans, we're going to back them up. So, my God, Jin, Cassian, K2SO, the blind guy, Malbus with the big ass gun, they did it. Somehow they do it, all right? And my God, and the pilot, right? The pilot guy, the scrawny pilot, they do it. They beam up the plans. They beam up the plans like this. And they beam up the plans to the Rebel Alliance. And it lands in like a ship. And needless to say, everyone on Scarif dies. So the rebels now have the plans. And who knew that Empire legend, Mr. Darth Vader himself, who's like, I can't let these rebel scum have the plans. So, like, they beam up to a ship, and this guy puts it inside, like, this sort of like one of those little chip things that you insert into computers. This guy's like running. He's like running with this actual physical object that contains the plans to the Death Star, and he's running. And all of a sudden, Darth Vader is right behind him. That motherfucker is chasing him. He's chasing him, and he's got a light sword, okay? And it's red, like the color of blood, human blood, that is. The rebel guy's buddies are like trying to get in the way and like shoot Darth Vader. Trying to shoot Darth Vader? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Doesn't matter. Is using the space magic. He's lifting them up and he's choking them. And he takes his laser sword and he stabs them in the heart. And all the while, the rebel with carrying the plans is like screaming. He's terrified. He's sweating. And he gets like some doors, you know, because they gotta try and get this to Princess Leia. Princess Leia, okay. You know, the doors are closing, and he like throws it to them, and they catch it. And then, you know, as he throws it to his teammates, you know, the lightsaber comes to his heart like this. Darth Vader is like, you know, cutting open the doors, and they're still trying to get these plans over. They get it all the way to Princess Leia, and Princess Leia, you know, takes the plans and is like, "We have hope again." And that, my friends, is the story of how Princess Leia got the Death Star plans. I hope you learned something today.
Here, cut it.
Those stormtroopers? I wore one of their helmets once. Right? I wore that one. No wonder they were so goddamn bad at shooting.